This show is proudly supported by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC reptile enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for a new PVC reptile enclosure or other reptile accessories. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. We'd like to thank our podcast sponsor, Bay, reimagining reptile keeping through innovation. They combine quality, design, and function to create high-end 3D printed reptile products. And if you've got a unique setup or problem, they'll craft a custom solution made just for you. Check them out on Instagram at Bay. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. G'day and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp with Joe Mack. Today is episode number 20, and I've got with me my good mate Scott Macor. Welcome, Scott.
Hey Joe, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. I think I've introduced nearly everyone as my good mate so far. It's true. It's true. I've got a lot of good mates. A lot of good mates in reptiles, so it's a good way to be.
And we've known each other for ages now, so I feel like good mates.
Mate, we somewhat went to school together. We didn't really know it at the time, but we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, funny. But for people who might not be familiar with you, can you give us a rundown on your history with reptiles and where that's led you to now?
Yeah. Okay. I guess like back at the start. I mean, I grew up in Townsville, so we're pretty lucky, surrounded by reptiles. It's a pretty nice climate. So I just remember as a kid, like running around the backyard, catching lizards, putting them in tubs, not really knowing any better, but I guess that's how it started. And then went through school and I guess like kind of lost interest, not lost interest, but it wasn't the main focus. I did all right at school. Dad kind of pushed me to go towards like engineering or something. And so when I went to uni, I started in engineering, and then I was like, oh, I hate this. I can't do this for the rest of my life. And then swapped to zoology and ecology, and then I basically just never looked back. And just been working, kind of had an interest in reptiles since, and now get to work on them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so you've definitely taken the more academic path when it comes to being interested in reptiles. What has your academic career entailed to now?
So I did, like I said, did my undergrad at JCU, which is I guess where we started herping and stuff together. I did a Bachelor of Science and then majored in zoology and ecology. And so it wasn't really until like third year where you kind of get some more of those niche subjects, I guess, that I was more interested in herps. Like I just liked animals generally, which is why I was in zoology. But then herps kind of really piqued my interest, and doing classes like being out in the field really sparked that. And then getting to go to Borneo during undergrad was incredible. And then, so I finished that. I worked for 6 months trying to save up some money. And then I enrolled in Honours, which is like a year-long program. You basically just get to do your own research project. So I originally was going to do stuff on binose geckos, like Heteronodia, and then just do a bunch of like captive like breeding experiments, just to see if a bunch of those lineages are actually species, like whether they actually interbreed. And we kind of jumped the gun on that and put pairs together without really thinking it through. So that project fell apart pretty quick, but luckily we had another project that we could do, which was on velvet geckos, which I think kind of suited me more. So I, basically looked at pheromones and some genetics of a bunch of velvet geckos up the east coast of Queensland. Collected, a bunch of pheromone samples and tissue samples. And then did that project for a year. Took a break and worked as a consultant for a bit. Um, always, I guess I always thought I'd go back into a PhD, but originally I kind of got sick of doing that consulting work, and then applied for a PhD at UTAS, and then was working on Tassie Devils for a bit. I think I don't know, just less than a year. So Tasmanian Devils and some quals, and then I don't know, there's a bunch of issues. Anyway, I got in contact with my old supervisors at JCU. They just got awarded this big ARC grant, which is like Australian Research Council grant, to work on a bunch of geckos, so Gehyra and Heteronodia, and some velvet gecko stuff as well, Ojura. And so I applied back at JCU to do that project. So yeah, just basically started my PhD over again, but working on herps, and it's been great. No regrets at all. I made the right decision. It was hard to restart, and I liked Hobart, but yeah, the project's been super cool, and that's where I'm at now.
That's where you're at now, and I
Yeah,
don't want to I don't want to brush over a couple of things you mentioned there. Firstly, how
yeah,
do you collect a pheromone sample?
yeah. So where to begin? Um, so a bunch of these geckos, I guess they kind of all look the same, but we know from genetics or like tissue samples that they're not interbreeding. So they're distinct species, but we can't tell them apart. And we're super visual as humans. So like in birds, you often don't get these cryptic species complexes because they're distinct. Like each species kind of has its own colors or I don't know, different feathers or something like that. But geckos, for the most part, look pretty similar, and so we really struggle to tell them apart. And in other groups where species look similar, like frogs, you can use call to tell them apart. And so males from each species have their own unique call, and then females choose males based off that call. Like I don't know how deep it is or how often they call. It's a bunch of different variables. I don't work on frogs, anyway. And so we we think in geckos they're using pheromones or like chemical signals, and so in a bunch of species, they have these pores on their underside. So we spotlight for geckos at night. Just you just walk up and catch them. You kind of flip them on their back, and you can see those pores just above the cloaca. And then you basically just get a pair of tweezers and apply a little bit of pressure around the outside of those pores, and it just exudes this substance. It's honestly, it's like squeezing a blackhead on your face and just having like a little blackhead pop out. It's kind
Yeah,
of
right.
gross, but that's
Yeah.
basically exactly what it is. And then you get a probe and scrape it off, and then put that into a vial. And then we tried to keep them as best we could at -20 in the fridge freezer. But I don't know, when you're in the middle of Australia, sometimes you have issues. And so I think for the most part they were kept frozen. But um, yeah, it definitely wasn't at -20 all the time.
No, but that's just a constraint of being out in the bush, I suppose. But
It is, yeah.
and then I presume some sort of analysis was done on those pheromones. What did that look like?
Yeah, so that was like more chemistry than I kind of expected I'd be doing. Um, so you get the little vial that you store the pheromone in, and then you add a solvent. So we used hexane, and it you basically just pipette it in, and then it removes all. Oh, yeah, it takes a bunch of those chemicals out of the secretion, and then makes them like into a liquid, I guess. And then that liquid is then injected into a gas chromatograph, which sounds very fancy, but it's basically just an oven. And inside the oven, there's this really long coil. And so as the chemical travels through that super long coil, things separate out because all of those different compounds in that blend have different boiling points. And so things like, yeah, as they travel along, it separates them out, and then they go through a flame, and then that flame has like a detector. It's called a flame ionization detector, and it makes a peak on a graph. And so each of those peaks is one of those chemicals being burnt off. And then how big that peak is determined by how much of that compound is in the secretion or in the like pheromone blend. And so you end up with a graph with just a bunch of peaks, and then you, yeah, kind of look at them, figure out which ones are unique and which ones show up in every single species. And so I looked at 62 of those compounds or peaks for over 1,000 samples across 58 lineages or like species of Gehyra, and a bunch of heteronodia as well, and then some velvet geckos, some Odura as well. And each of those, like, to get those 62 peaks, yeah, you basically sit there and draw a line under each one of them so you can get the area under the curve, and that takes so long. So it was like it takes half an hour for them to run through the GC, and then like another half an hour for you to draw peaks under the same 62 peaks on the graph for every single sample, for every single species, for the whole genus. And so that was like a year of my life, was just staring at these graphs. Just something that in like, I don't know, 5 years, even less, it's just going to be AI that does it. But it wasn't quite there at the start of my career.
We weren't there back then.
Oh man, I listen to so many podcasts and just music because it's mind numbing. It's so boring, but you just have to do it. Yeah.
That's cool technology. You put the gecko blackhead in a machine and it spits you out a graph.
Yeah. And that graph tells you what's in there, kind of.
Someone much smarter than you and I put that machine together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is fucking cool.
And like you can do it in a bunch of different ways. So like we're only looking at this very like a subset of what's in that blend. Like if you used a different solvent, you end up with different peaks. You can do liquid gas chromatography. No, liquid chromatography, not liquid gas. But yeah, it uses a liquid, and so you end up with a bunch of different things come out on those peaks because only stuff that can be burnt off shows up in the gas chromatography, whereas liquid, yeah, you just get a whole different subset. It's crazy. So like there's probably a bunch more chemicals in there that we just don't know about because it just depends on your methods that you use.
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch more graphs to look at.
Yeah, and I'm not doing that.
No, you spent enough time on that.
I did.
Maybe
so much time.
You could find some AI program to run it all for you.
I feel like one day it will be AI. I mean, the way that it's progressing, like before long, all of those like mundane tasks will just be AI.
Yeah, taking over.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, it will be nice if you can make it work for you.
Yeah, but, absolutely.
Your time in Tassie was awesome. I know we missed you greatly up in North Queensland, but you had a bit of a ball down there. You got your hands on a stack of different Dasyurids. It was pretty impressive watching what you were doing down there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a good program. UTAS is doing some good work. It's a shame that it didn't work out, but it was cool. Like we'd go out, the field trips would be like 10 days at a time, and you put out 40 traps. The traps are like this long PVC tube, basically, with some meat tied at the end, and the devil walks in, eats the bit of meat, and then the door closes behind them. Oh, and man, like there was days where you'd get like 20 devils in 40 of the traps. So you'd be out there the whole day. Like you'd start right in the morning as soon as the sun's up. And yeah, some days you'd go until sunset because the amount of data that you have to get off each of those devils is immense. Like you're
Is it
taking tissue
morphometrics?
samples. It's not like to some degree, like you take weight and some other measurements of like their feet and stuff. But the main focus of that was on devil facial tumor disease.
Of course.
And so all we basically know every single devil in those populations that we monitor because when they're young, they all get a microchip. And so you give them names, which is pretty fun. Like you just pick a theme for a trip and then get to name them whatever you want. And then yeah, every devil you catch, you take a weight, you kind of give it a condition score. You look at their teeth and take a bunch of measurements of their teeth. So like the amount of dentine covering their canine tooth can be used to like age them. You look in the pouches if they were females. You'd have to like get a stick and flick their tongue up to look for like tumors in their mouths. And then if they had tumors, you have to take a tissue sample of all the tumors as well. And so some devils would have a bunch of tumors, and you'd have to take tissue from all of them. So it could
Oh
take a long
wow.
time. Luckily,
Yeah, yeah.
they're super chill when they're in the bag. You just
I did want to
put them in
ask
the yeah.
about the handling of them.
Yeah, I think I probably have some videos up on Instagram from that point, but they're so chill, honestly, crazy. You get one devil that'd be a bit of an ass, but mostly they're really good. As long as you keep their eyes covered, they just sat there, and like you could feel them shaking sometimes if they were a bit nervous. But because they're captured 4 times a year, so they get monitored every season, and often
Yeah,
from when they're joeys. So by the
yeah.
time they're like 3 or 4 years old, it's just like they
Whatever,
don't
man.
mind. Yeah,
Like, oh,
they're
it's you,
just
it's you
chill.
again. Good to see you,
Yeah,
Scotty.
exactly. Some free meat. Like we have to close traps sometimes because
True.
one devil will go back like 4 or 5 times in a row, and just every day you go to that
So,
trap and you're like, oh, he's back in there. Okay,
so not
keep him
not
up.
trap shy,
Not
trap
trap shy
chained,
at
trap
all.
trained.
Yes,
If anything.
they love it. Oh, but having to clean those traps after a devil's eaten lamb 4 nights in a row
Oh, messy.
is brutal.
Field work is
Carnivore poo is something else.
yeah rank. Not a fan.
But we get quolls as well, which are really cool. So we get spotted tail quolls in those traps too. And I always like seeing the quolls. Do still get to do some work on quolls in Queensland, which is cool. And then you get eastern quolls as well. Like you get the dark and the light morph.
Very
Which
cool.
was cool. So yeah, a bunch of cool things.
Very cool. Yes. So, you're working on your PhD currently
Yeah.
now.
I
Tell us about
am.
that.
Yeah, so I used to be full time on the PhD, but now I do it 50-50. So I work as a research assistant for half that time. But my PhD was, working on Gehyra and so the pheromone samples, some genetic stuff as well. And basically just wanted to see if every lineage or every species of Gehyra have a unique blend of pheromones, because if they're acting as like the mating trait, so if females are choosing males based off these blends, then you'd expect they'd be unique, just like in frogs. And so that was kind of the first thing. So it was like, are they unique? And then what is causing that? Whether that's the environment or like these biotic interactions. So yeah, females choosing males or co-occurrence with other species. Like if you occur with a bunch of other Gehyra, do your pheromones need to be even more unique? Um, and so that was kind of the first thing we looked at. And then the second part of the PhD was trying to look more in depth at some of the biotic interactions that are kind of mediating that. And so if females are choosing males based off these traits, if over like a yeah, a really wide area. So this is complicated to explain. So it's called reproductive character displacement or ecological character displacement. And basically, if you have this really big distribution, and in this half of your distribution, you don't occur with anything else, but in this half, you occur with some species that's really similar to you, or a bunch of species that are really similar to you. So your mating trait in this half doesn't need to be that different because you're not
Mm.
co-occurring with anything. But in this half, or like this part where you overlap, you expect that your pheromones or your mating trait will be even more divergent because the risk of you hybridizing is much higher in this area. And so you kind of get pheromones going from, yeah, they're different but not that different, to just being like, whoa, really different. And so that, like, yeah, character displacement happens in this area where you co-occur. So
Fascinating.
like that's the second part of my PhD, was kind of looking at a few of those examples and trying to see if we can recognize that pattern in pheromones. And that was it's I'm still currently working on it. It's like not straightforward at all. And it looks like maybe in specific examples you might see evidence of that, but across the whole of Australia, we don't really see a pattern of that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still working on that. And then the third part is more genetic based. So it's a bunch of these species or lineages have some like structure within them. So they might currently all be classified as one thing. But we know from some just like early genetic sampling that there's probably a bunch of different species within that one species. And so we call those lineages. And so I have been trying to resolve some of those cryptic species complexes within Gehyra um, for that final chapter. And part of that is looking at contact zones. So where two of these species come into contact, is there any interbreeding at that contact zone? And so yeah, that's the third part. The field work for that was pretty cool because you drive along I don't know, a fair chunk of the distribution of that species, and then you're collecting tissue samples the whole way. And then when they come into contact, you like try and get a bunch of samples because that's where there is a chance that things are going to hybridize,
Yep.
or you'll see some like introgression, and then yeah, then you switch over and you do the other species. And so I'm looking at that at the moment, and it looks like there's going to be more Gehyra, which I'm sure everyone's thrilled about. Uh,
Reed's
so
cheering. Reed's listening, going,
yeah,
"Fuck yeah!"
Reed's gonna love it. So yeah, there will be more Gehyra,
Great.
which is fun. So I'm gonna
But
have
that's
to
fascinating. So
deal with some of that.
yeah, but I mean, it makes sense for something that's nocturnal and looks similar to, much of the other species around to be
Yeah,
separated, or I mean, at least in terms of like mate selection. If
yeah,
it's dark and you can't really see anything, and they're not going to go and feel up a potential mate. They're going to base their selection on what they can smell. So it
yeah.
makes sense for the pheromones to be vastly different, and there to be some sort of selection within species for certain types of pheromones, which is probably something that would be looked at way later on, I suppose. I don't even know how
Yeah,
you
I
go
mean,
about that, but
like,
anyway.
I feel like chemical signals are just like they're used all throughout the animal kingdom. Like they're
Oh, of course.
really heavily used in reptiles, but I mean, even us, like we use chemical signals as well. We're just like it's probably not a conscious thing. It'd be like our subconscious that we base a bunch of those things off.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, basically everything can smell, and so yeah, everything uses these signals. But yeah, it's just super heightened in reptiles. They kind of all look the same, but probably, I mean, to them, they can smell each other, and so they absolutely know that that's not the same species as me because it smells different.
That's cool, but if I've got a Gohira in my hand and I'm sitting in the the middle of the NT somewhere, I sure as shit I'm not gonna know what species that is.
Yeah, and that was the case for us too during a bunch of this field work. We had some geckos in our hands. We're like, honestly, we have no idea what this thing is. Um,
Dichotomous key ain't helping.
no, and like they don't, because like they're morphologically like identical. And so
Identical.
the the example of this is Gehyra crypta in WA, and they live on trees. They overlap with another species that they look the exact same as. And so we're sampling these things. And we're like, we have no idea what we're sampling right now, but we're gonna take tissue samples and pheromone samples and then figure that out back in the lab. And
That's a
it's hard.
Gehyra sp.
Yeah, exactly. So a bunch of these cryptic species are going to be like nightmares for people that like herping and they want to like figure out what they're looking at. And same with like
Yeah,
consultants and stuff too, because sometimes you just don't know. And like it's it's good if their ranges don't overlap. Like you can just pick them based off their distribution. But
that's
when
my
they
favorite.
overlap, it's no good. Um, and yeah, some of these Gehyra that I will be working on slash am working on, their ranges overlap, so that's going to be fun for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
well, you're the
going to be
man for
hating,
it.
but it'll be fun. Someone's
Yeah,
got to do it, I guess.
someone
That's
does
right.
have to do it.
It's not as bad as Steven. Steven's got to deal with all those heteronodia, and that's a nightmare. But
Yeah, I
he
can
loves it.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, little geckos. So you did a
Yeah.
bunch of field work. I remember at one stage, I think, did you do like 3 months across the top end,
Pretty
just
much. Yeah.
looking for geckos, eye shining? You got a shout out on a recent podcast. I don't know if you listened to the one with Reed, but I talked about your insane eye shining skills. You've developed that skill over many, 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 many nights of looking for geckos. So
Yeah.
I guess could you tell us a bit about that experience?
How to do it? Yeah. Okay. I'll start off with eye shining because it's like it's one of those things that it's something you have to practice. I remember I started in undergrad, which is oh man, it was almost like 10 years ago now.
Oh, don't think about it,
Like getting old, Joey. I
man.
don't like it.
I did start. I think I did start uni 10 years ago. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah. 20, yeah,
15? I think I started
2014.
20. I think I started 2015.
Okay, I started in 2014. So
2014.
no
Yikes.
good. I don't like
No
that.
good. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, shit.
It's all
But yeah,
good.
we're getting old. Anyway, um, eye shining. So the I use Elliot's gonna hate this, but I love lead lenses.
Lead lenses. They're the best.
El- Elliot Budd is so against lead lenses to the point where he's got like 6 different brands of head torch instead of just owning one lead lenser.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I swear by them. I've used them basically since I started eye shining. So shout out Lead Lenser. If you want to sponsor me, go for it.
That'd be great.
They do give you a 7-year warranty though, and I've just like returned them in on the 6th year, and they just replace it. Hey,
Yeah.
there it is. They're the
Here's one.
best.
Yeah.
Which one's
You
that?
know it.
Oh, is that
This is
the yeah,
H7R2,
the
I
seven's
think.
good. Did you have a 14 at some point or no?
I did. I had one, the big dog with two.
Bro,
Oh crap! It was no
yeah,
good.
it's too big. It's
It
way too big.
the battery's too big and the light was just too much and it was just a spot beam or a flood beam. There was no
Yeah,
intermediate. I
yeah,
accidentally
those
turned it on in my backpack and it melted a hole through my backpack. Just
yeah,
clean through it.
they get so hot. It's insane.
Yeah, but
Um,
these are
the
the guys for me. H7R, whatever it is.
H7R core, mate,
Yeah. I
so
think that's
good.
what this is.
I have 2 of them. Yeah, it looks like it. Um, but they're honestly so good because you can dim them right down. And so the thing with eye shining is you don't want your light to be super bright. So if you have it too bright, you kind of just overexpose, I guess, the eyes. So it's fine for something with big eyes like mammals or frogs because their pupil doesn't constrict. But with like geckos, if you have super bright light on their eyes, I mean, the eyes are kind of hard to see anyway, but their pupils contract, and then you basically don't get any eye shine. So you want the beam to be pretty low, but still bright enough that you can see, and like when you're walking around and stuff. And so the other important thing for eye shining that I find is to have the head torch just on the bridge of your nose. So you really want it to be like as close to your eyes as possible so that you get that reflection back. If you have it like up here, it's way harder for you to pick up that reflection from the gecko's eyes. So you want to have it kind of level on the bridge of your nose, have it pretty dim, and then I like having mine on a spot beam. So those LED lenses are good because you can make them really narrow or just have them wide for when you're walking around looking for snakes and stuff. But yeah, geckos, a dull beam, um, quite spotlighted, and then bridge your nose. Good to go. I mean, it takes practice. Like
It
I've been
takes
doing it for
practice.
years. And
You have, and it shows.
like Gehyra are pretty easy to eye shine. Like velvet geckos, other big stuff is not too bad. Like I feel like people can pick that up pretty quickly. But when you want to do small stuff, especially spinifex geckos, like Strophuris are hard. They're hard work.
Hmm.
And Heteronodia can be as well. But yeah, the more you do it, the better you get. And then
Yeah.
you just get good at it. Just takes time.
I think something that um I don't know, I guess I've noticed it, obviously it happens, is when you hit a gecko with your torch, their, pupils will um constrict
Constrict. Yeah.
constrict right up, and then they don't
Yeah.
produce any shine anymore. So you do really have to be conscious and like on the ball and have your eye in when you are looking for them, because if you're just waving a torch around all willy-nilly, you'll be hitting the geckos with the light, their pupils will be constricting, and then you won't be able to eye shine them.
Yeah, and like they run away too,
Definitely.
which is always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Or they just have immaculate camouflage and they blend in, which
yeah,
happens also.
it does. Yeah, so yeah, things like Pheluris can be kind of hard. Like if you couldn't eye shine them, man, you would never see a bunch of these geckos.
Yeah.
If you're just walking around at night looking for them, the only way you really see them is eye shine. And so yeah, it's worth learning how to do.
If you're
Um,
into this kind of thing, of course.
if you're into this kind of thing, yeah.
Like
But
running
it's a good
around
skill.
in ridiculous parts of the country at night time looking for little brown geckos that live in obscure places, then yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so off the back of that eye shining, the field work was basically 4 months of the year in 2021, and then like in about another 4 months of the year in 2022. This was for my PhD, and then Stephen was working as a postdoc on the ARC grant, so he does a bunch of stuff with blind-nosed geckos. And so we basically spent 4 months in a troopy, just the two of us. For the most part, that first year, it was just the two of us traveling around, collecting samples from geckos across the whole country. So we did. Where did we go? I think so. We covered the a bit of the Cape, um, did some of the Gulf country, spent some time in like Darwin, and then went through the Pilbara. Oh, sorry, went through the Kimberley, and then all the way to the Pilbara in WA, and then spent some time in the Pilbara collecting samples, and came back through the middle and spent some time around Uluru, and then yeah, back to Townsville. But basically covered the top half of the country pretty well, looking for geckos at night, and obviously off the
Epic.
back of that, you get to see a bunch of cool places and find a bunch of cool incidental herps that for most people would be the target of their herp trips. But we're just looking for binos, geckos, and Gehyra.
Wild.
But yeah, we got to see some pretty cool incidental herps along the way.
Like what?
All right. some of the highlights. I guess I'll start with some of the places were pretty incredible. Like Honolulu was
Yeah.
stunning. What was it? The Bungle Bungles National
Yeah.
Park. If you ever get a chance, like go there. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's these big mounds of rock that are like layered, and each of these layers has a different color. And there's a
Thought you were gonna
Gehyra.
say each layer's got a different Gehyra.
No, no, there
It
is
fucking it will soon.
Oh mate, they like to speciate, so it's possible. But yeah, in Honolulu, there's the biggest Gehyra, Gehyra ipsa. I think it's just called like the Bungle Ranges Gehyra, something like that. I don't know.
Checks
But
out.
they're big. They're huge. They're like, oh, there's no context really, but like, I don't know, maybe most of your forearm. And they
Jesus.
live at the top of some of these big bungles, I guess you call them, this like rock formation. They were super cool, mainly because the habitat was awesome. Like it was insane. Yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Bitter Springs was really cool. In Mataranka because it's like swimming in a fish tank.
It's
Um,
ridiculous. Yeah.
it's crystal clear, and you're just swimming
And
around looking at turtles and
the
fish.
water's like 30 degrees or 32 degrees. It
Yeah,
is picturesque, pristine,
it's
amazing.
nice and warm. Yeah, it's really cool. And then, I mean, the Kimberley was incredible. The highlight, one thing that I really want to see was a Kimberley rock monitor, so Varanus Cloud and we got to see one of those, which is pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we went out with a bunch of AWC guys, and yeah, we ended up finding them off the back of looking for Gehyra. But yeah, got one in a rock crevice. Got some good photos of it. They're
Funny
cool.
that.
Yeah.
They
Such
are
a
cool.
such a good Varanid.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What else? There's just been so much. It's hard to pick. A couple of things that stood out were like species that hadn't been photographed for years. So like Heteronodia atra in the Pilbara.
Pilbara.
It's
Yeah.
like this. I think I'll have a photo of it on Instagram somewhere, but it's a Heteronodia, but they're adapted to these dark, rocky boulders, and so they kind of reminded me a bit of leaf-tailed geckos, I guess, because you'd eye shine them, and then instead of just like taking off like most hets do, they just like kind of slunk away down into these piled boulders,
Hmm.
and they were super cool. Like there was only I think one photo existed of them before we went and found them. Well, one photo in life before we went and found them again on that trip, and that was a really good night. Something I won't forget anytime soon. That was with Stephen and Wes Reed and Naomi Lavin, and yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was really cool. And what else? There's some Gehyra as well that hadn't been photographed for years, like Gehyra unguiculata. I don't even know what that common name is. It's like crescent marked Gehyra,
Man,
crescent
you'd
marked
be
something.
you'd be busy trying to
Oh,
remember all those common names. What is there, 50 or
man,
60 species of Gehyra?
yeah. By the time we're done, probably more than 60. But
Good.
yeah, there's 50 something at the moment.
It's crazy.
Uh, and so yeah, you get pretty familiar with the Latin names, but yeah, trying to remember the common names on top of that's hard work.
Nah, way too hard. Um,
What else? Snakes, obviously. Death Adder's always cool. Got to see a few, and then like, man, knobtail geckos are unreal. It's
they're so
like
cool.
getting to see smooth knobtail geckos like Nephurus lavissimus, and then what else? What's the big one? Oh man, I'm having a mind blank.
Not
Amian, Nephurus
Amia, yeah.
amian. They're
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
and we got them in the McDonald Ranges, I think, and
Yeah.
they were cool. Man,
And they like
that's a cool
they like
gecko.
almost bark as like a little defensive mechanism.
Yeah, they make that sound. They do those push-ups too.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I don't know, just start like doing push-ups and like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, that's not working. You're not scaring me.
Yeah, she just looks super cute right now.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Nephurus are
Uh,
good. If I don't know, if I had to pick a favorite group of geckos, it'd probably be Nephurus, I reckon.
oh yeah,
They're they're top tier. They're great.
they are good. Um, one thing I wanted to ask Scotty is if someone was looking to get into like a career in herpetology and essentially research, I guess, what
Yeah.
would be would taking a pathway like yours be the right way to go? Or I mean, there's not really any other way other than studying it at university. But
Yeah,
what
that's it.
what sort of steps would someone have to take to chase that? I guess.
Um, yeah, so I guess there's a couple of different pathways. Like it definitely the first step would be doing your undergrad degree. Um, and then if you want to specialize in herps, like doing something like an honors or a master's would be a good step. And so I was in Borneo, and the guy that was running it, Conrad Hoskin, is a lecturer at JCU, and he works on a bunch of different herp species and just a bunch of different conservation projects. And so I was in Borneo with him in undergrad, and I basically just asked, like, do you have any projects that I could be involved in? And then he was like, yes. So he was my supervisor for honors, him and Megan Higgy. And then, yeah, same for my PhD. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is forging those connections is super important. And so having an undergraduate degree is good, but it's important to find someone that's working in the field that you're interested in. It doesn't even have to be at the same university, honestly. Like if you find someone from a different university, just send them an email or like reach out to them in some way and say that you're interested in potentially doing a project. Um, and you have a little bit of freedom in like the picking the project, I guess. Like you can either work on something that they've put together or come to them with an idea for something that you want to do. If you want to pick your own project, you kind of have to tailor it towards the academic or the lecturer that you want to work with. So try and make it something in their realm, something that they'll be interested in. But that's really the first step is yeah, reaching out to someone and saying, hey, I want to work on herps or whatever you want to work on, and then going from there. And then the steps to get into a PhD in Australia are either to do honors, which you used to have to do full time, but now you can do part time,
Hmm.
which is good. So you can work, which is great because when Elliot and I were doing honors, we basically at our desk Monday to Friday, and then working at the pet shop on the weekend to try and get some money to live.
To live, yeah.
But now you can do it part time, which is good. And then you can also do masters. So whether that's masters by coursework or MPhil, which is like masters by research, and yeah, you can do that like a research project, and they go for 2 years. Again, you can do them part time as well, and then go to a PhD from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to do a PhD, kind of didn't want to do a PhD. It was kind of up in the air for a bit, and then when I was doing that consulting work, we worked together for a bunch of that. I just got so sick of it, um, and I've always wanted to do something conservation orientated, and to get a job in conservation is very competitive, but to get a job that pays well is even harder. And
That's
so I
nearly
think,
impossible.
yeah, exactly. So having a PhD definitely opens a few doors.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so I've
absolutely.
been lucky that I've been in a position where I can do that, and I get to work on a bunch of conservation projects now as a research assistant, which is cool. And then yeah, hopefully I don't know, get a government job or work for an NGO or something once I'm done. We'll see.
Yeah,
Or stay in
interesting.
academia. Don't know.
Or stay in academia. Oh, you figure it out as you go.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I guess how do those projects come to be? Like what backs those projects and allows them to actually happen. And I guess to add to that is someone's got to fund it. So
Yeah.
how does that sort of work together?
Yeah, so funding is always an issue in academia. It's like getting funding is hard. So there's a couple of avenues. You can either get funding from the government. So like if you work on threatened species, it's definitely easier to get funding. Like DETSI has its own threatened species like department or whatever, and they often have grants that you can apply for. And so a bunch of the projects that I've been employed on are funded from that. My PhD was funded through an Australian Research Council grant, and so that was like a big, it was like I don't know, $500,000. They're usually like big big funding grants that often pay for salary or just like these really long term projects. But they're hard to get. You kind of have, it's kind of your supervisors that get them. It's not something that you get for your honors. You
Yeah.
can get a bunch of smaller stuff for your projects. So, like the Australian Society of Herpetologists, or ASH, they have funding every year. They also do conferences, which is really great. So, part of my project was funded from ASH. Um, there's like ABRS grants, which is like Australian Biological Resource Studies or something like that. I probably butchered that, but they fund a bunch of taxonomy. So that yeah, there's a bunch of options.
Hmm.
The issue is yeah, getting the funding. So for the most part, it's your supervisor that will have the funding, which is why they tend to have their own projects that they want to work on. But often the university pays them a salary, and then so on top of that salary, they often get given some money for research, and so things like an honors project often gets covered under that um,
Right.
funding from the university. The hardest thing to get money for is salary, and so that's why I mean most people are associated with a university, and so it's the university that pays their salary, and then whatever funding they get can go towards research projects, and it's not salary.
It's not paying for
But
them. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So, I mean, you can either hire a postdoc or hire a research assistant, and so yeah, that's currently what pays me part time is a big government
Yeah. A
threat
bit of funding.
species funding thing. Yeah.
Yeah, nice, interesting. So I imagine most of the role of your supervisors or supervisors in this sort of realm in general is just grant application.
Yeah, a big part of it is because I mean you can't really do research without money. Yeah, so a lot of it is funding applications, and yeah, some of
Yeah.
those big ones take ages. Like ARC grants can take I don't know a year or so to
Oh, I
write.
can
Maybe
imagine.
not that
Yeah.
long, but they take a long time. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's competitive too. It's highly
Oh,
competitive.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So then
And
you're competing with these guys. I was going to mention the conferences again, where you're going out and obviously doing networking and meeting up with people and maybe
yeah,
figuring out different pathways, and then all of a sudden you're all applying for the exact same grant.
yeah, exactly. Applying for the same grants or applying for the same jobs.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's a thing. A bunch of these grants aren't herp specific either, and so you're competing with people working on like cuddly, fluffy mammals, and so
Charismatic things. Yeah,
most of the time, herps is a system. So like it's the research that's interesting, and you just use herps as a way to look at that research, and so that's how a bunch of it's framed. Like getting money to just do taxonomy, it doesn't happen often anymore.
yeah,
It's about the research and like pushing fields forward, and it just so happens that you work on herps or you work on birds or
yeah,
or mammals. Yeah.
yeah. So the taxa really is just the vessel for bettering that form of research, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Very cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, it's just a concept I hadn't put together in my head. I haven't had the need
Yeah.
to come up with that thought either, but yeah.
Yeah, the life of an academic is yeah, like teaching and then getting funding, and so I don't know if that's you get a lot of freedom which is good because you get to kind of work on things that you're interested in, which is nice. But then you also get buried in paperwork. And so I think if the right postdoc came along and was something that I was super interested in, then I would go for it. But I'm not sure academia is a space that I want to stay in for too long because yeah, you just end up tied to a desk. I mean, people make it work
Understandable.
and still get to do a bunch of cool field work and stuff, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's the exception rather than the norm.
And some people might enjoy being tied to a desk.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Some people do. Whereas I definitely prefer field work.
Being out in the
And so
bush.
even
Yeah.
like when I go away for conferences and stuff, like last year, for example, I had a gecko specific conference in Thailand, which was cool. So it's called
Awesome.
Gecko Mundi. And so that was in Chiang Mai, which is so super cool. Oh man, that conference was unreal. It was basically just a bunch of people from all over the place that work on geckos. Lots of people from Southeast Asia. And Chiang Mai itself was cool because it's this big elevational gradient. Like I think it's the highest peak in Thailand. And so, I mean, we went for the conference, but really we just went to go herping. And it
Herps.
just
Yeah.
so happened that you have to present on one of those days. So we got some cool stuff like Evophis, some of the like mountain pit
Pit
vipers.
vipers.
Like those terrestrial vipers are so sick. Man, they're awesome. I know they're just like a brown snake, but fuck, they're cool.
No, they're fucking sick. Little
And
little
what else?
toady. They're like a more of a montane thing, are they? A higher, like a higher
Yeah, they're more of
elevation
a
thing.
montane thing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're usually up at high elevations. So it was the
Yeah.
first night that Rashab and I went out herping. We had a hire car. It kind of started to rain a little bit, and I'd just spent so long that day just looking at Iron Hat records, just to try and figure out where we can actually access and where we can go. And we picked this one spot that looked pretty good, and there was a bunch of records. So we drove the car up there, and as we pulled off to park, I saw the snake just crossing the road in the high beams, and I was like, "Fuck, that's a snake!" And then I was like, "I'm pretty sure that's an Evophis." And we got out of the car, and the first thing that we found that trip just happened to be Evophis Monticola, I think it,
Monticola.
it
Yeah.
was.
Damn.
Man, so cool, such a cool
Crazy.
snake, and like one that we really want to see. So for it to be the first thing we got that trip was insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Set the mood for the trip for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got some other cool stuff on that trip. One of the highlights was a crocodile newt,
Oh
which
yeah.
was funky. Those things are really cool. Just like a I don't know salamandery type thing. We don't have salamanders in Australia, so
No.
that was pretty cool to see. They're crazy. And then after that conference, there was the World Congress of Herpetology in Borneo in Kuching, which is in Malaysia. And so I went over for that. There was like a week between the conferences. They kind of set it up that way so that most people could just go across.
Strategic.
And yeah, it was good. So spent that was 5 days, I think Monday to Friday at that conference in Kuching. And then did a bit of herping, some cool pit vipers. Um,
Malcolm's. You got a Malcolm's.
we did. So that was not at Kuching. That was at Mount Kinabalu.
Kinabalu, of course.
So who was there? Me, Stephen, Naomi, and Matt Clancy all flew to Sabah from Sarawak and then went to Mount Kinabalu. We spent like 3 or 4 nights up on the mountain, and I'd been to Mount Kinabalu. That was my third time, and so both the times before I hadn't gotten a Malcolm's Pit Viper, and I was just I don't know. I really want to see one. They're so cool. I mean,
They're the coolest.
they're the cover of the Snakes of Borneo book. Like they're sick. They're such a good looking snake,
Yeah.
and yeah, we got one, which was cool, and not just like one. We got a massive
Yeah.
female. Like
And
this thing is huge.
I think you take the cake for the best Malcolm's Pit Viper photo out there.
Yeah,
Truly.
That was a good snake to photograph. And then yeah, I was pretty happy walking away with those pictures. It's not often that you find what you're looking for firstly, and it be a super pleasant animal to deal with, and you get a good photo. Like that just never
Rare,
happens.
rare.
Something usually just ruins that experience, and it's usually they just don't fucking sit
They don't.
still when you're
Yeah,
trying to photograph them.
yeah.
But
You
she was a
normally.
gem.
That's unreal. I was just gonna say you normally walk away from a photography session going fuck it, whatever. There'll be one in there that's better than the rest.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to walk away with knowing you got good ones, that's atypical.
No, it does not happen, and it was incredible because like it usually just leaves that little bit of a sour note. You're like, oh man, that was a cool snake, but I didn't get a fucking photo.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was incredible, such a good night, and cool people to share it with too. And we kind of had the snake all to ourselves, which was awesome because there was a few other people that were herping Kinabalu. Obviously, everyone's in Borneo for this herp convention, and obviously a bunch of them
Oh
people are
yeah.
herpes. Um, but yeah, we got to spend a good amount of time with her, which was really cool. And then the other species, oh man, actually, we did pretty well on Kinabalu. Um, we got the Chasen's bit viper. It's like a big brown terrestrial viper, Garthius chaseni.
Chase tonight. Probably
Um,
not dissimilar to an Ovophus, really.
yeah, pretty similar. I think I don't know. They might be somewhat related. I would have to look at my pit viper taxonomy. I don't know.
Mm.
But man, they're cool. They're super cool snakes. That was on the fourth night. We'd basically been looking for them. Once we got the Malcolms, that was like, I guess the next big target for me was finding one of those. They're just like an iconic species. And like people just get them on the road. Like Max Jackson and Lockie and stuff, just they were there maybe a year before us. And in the photo they put up of it, you could just see the accommodation where we were staying in the
Oh
background, and the thing was
no.
just on the road. I was like, "Are you kidding? We spent
Yeah.
4 nights looking for one and just had no luck."
Yeah.
So there's always an element of luck, but thankfully on the last night it started to rain, and things just seem to get moving as soon as it rains in Southeast Asia. It
Yeah.
just brings it just makes everything active.
Yeah.
And
What
so
time of year
it
were you there?
uh June, July.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're asking hard questions there, Joey.
Sorry, I'm just curious.
The memory of a goldfish for those things. I'll look back at my phone after this and be like, oh shit, that was way off. Um, but that was cool. It started pouring down rain, and there's like videos of us walking around with umbrellas. But as soon as that rain started, we just kind of knew. It was like
It was on.
if we're gonna get one. And
Yeah.
so on Kinabalu, a bunch of the roads have those drainage ditches down the side, and they're
Yeah.
full of leaf litter and just like perfect habitat for a brown terrestrial viper to sit in. And they were just full of water. I was like, if one was sitting in there, it's gonna be on the road or like
It's
up on a
flushed
bank
out. Yeah.
trying to get out of it. And then yeah, sure enough, we found one maybe 10 minutes later. And it was cool. And again, like another big one. So it must have been a big female. That was so good. And then, so yeah, we spent those 4 nights at the high elevation stuff at Kinabalu, got a bunch of other cool stuff, and then went to the lowlands. So around Pouring Hot Springs. What's it called? Like Lupamassa, I think is the place that we went. Um, we were looking for some Martian pit vipers and looking for leaf nose vipers again because a few people got them around Kuching, but we hadn't, and so they were the two things. I guess yeah. I basically just want to tick off all the pit vipers,
Yeah.
so I still haven't seen them, which is
What species? What species is the leaf nose? Are they Craspatocephalus?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You pronounce
That's
that
beautiful.
much better than I would have. So well done.
I think if you just say it fast enough, people can't pull you up on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so those and yeah, Sumatranus, yeah, Sumatran pit vipers,
Yeah, they're crazy.
which people had seen. It's kind of like people had seen the same one like 4 or 5 nights in a row,
Still
and
counts.
those guys are kind of like gun ho. So I think they were cutting down trees and stuff to bring down the snake, and I was like, oh man, I don't know how I
That
feel
doesn't
about
get.
that.
Yeah, no,
But
that's not cool.
anyway, but the night that we got there, she'd moved on, which was good for her.
She probably
It
didn't have
would
any
have,
habitat left.
I know, like it would have felt a bit weird for us seeing her anyway after all that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But what?
we didn't get a Sumatran, but what we did get, which is pretty damn cool, was a red-headed
Crate.
crate.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the
Ridiculous.
subspecies like?
Baloensis.
Aloensis? Yeah, that's it. Which I mean, oh man, the patterns on them are cool. So like that subspecies have a yellow head and then a bunch of banding on the back third of the snake, I guess.
Yeah.
Stephen found one when we were walking the trails and we all just lost it. Like it was such a cool looking snake. And then we did actually lose the snake, which sucked, but got a couple of photos of it. We
Vanished.
didn't have a hide to like put it under because I
To
mean you put it
photograph it.
under and
Yeah.
then yeah take photos. But I'd emptied my camera bag to use as a hide, and it worked a couple of times. And then like I don't know the third or fourth time that we lifted it up, the snake had just gone. Like it
Just
just
vanished.
teleported. There was
Yeah.
some big leaves around, like, and we raked through all the leaves. That thing was gone, which was
Gone.
crazy because by that
Yeah.
point there was four of us and the two guides all looking at this hide. Like it, we have no idea where it went. It wouldn't have come out the side. It must have gone underneath and just vanished. But it
Yeah.
was cool to see.
I
Just
think
crazy.
everyone's had that experience. I photographed an eastern brown on like the very edge of like a salt pan in Townsville. I
Yeah.
don't know. Were you with?
I
You might have
was
been with me.
with you. That thing
Yeah.
just
There was
vanished. Yeah.
like a tiny
Because you
little
and
tuft of
Ellie were on
grass.
a photo. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we lifted
Because
the
we
bin lid
picked
and
that
it was
spot.
gone.
We picked that spot so it wouldn't escape.
Yeah,
And then
specifically.
yeah,
Poof.
it was yeah, just
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Evaporated. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, literally.
I
But
I don't know what happened to that snake, but anyway.
gone. But so what you're saying is that we should go back to Borneo.
Yeah, man, like Borneo is one of those places that I would just keep going back to.
Yeah.
And we're lucky in Australia that like Southeast Asia's close. So I mean the
Yeah,
most
it's
expensive part is getting there, but the flights aren't too bad. And then once you're there, man, it's cheap.
yeah,
Like
it is.
accommodation's cheap, food is cheap, and food is so
So
good
good.
too. And the
Man,
like the
I've still
herps that you
been.
get.
You
Yeah,
probably
go.
remember when we all you went to Borneo the year before Elliot and I did,
Yeah.
and Elliot and I were just trying to search for the roti cobra ayam when we got
Yeah.
back, and we could never do it. Elliot tried to recreate it a few times and just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The
No, it
roti
just hits
cobra ayam,
different when you're there.
so
It's
good.
so good. Yeah, this
I'm
recent time when I was there for the conference, I got roti cobra a few times, and it's like 50 cents, dude.
yeah,
It's
it's so.
ridiculous.
I know sometimes the roti cobra ayam is like it's like a I don't know like a very mild curry chicken on top of naan, like a roti bread, not a naan,
Yeah,
different
like
part of the world, and then
fried light bread. So good.
like a half cooked egg on top, like a half fried egg. And I know sometimes I got it there, and I'm like, they haven't fucking cooked this egg like at all. It was like translucent, runny, but like whatever, man. I'm in Borneo. This is just what you gotta do.
Fine. You just eat
But
it and don't ask
so good.
questions.
No, so good, so good. Good
I
times.
think when we went, I think we ate some street meat and it was like these little balls of meat or something. I was like, man, I don't even know what this is. It might have been in Bali or something. But yeah,
You and
after
I,
that trip, yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
I don't know. I
Because
can't
I
remember what I
met
had for
up with
breakfast
yeah,
today.
you and Elliot after you did Borneo. I flew
Yeah,
in and then we did Komodo,
Komodo.
which
Yeah,
was cool. Blue pit vipers, Komodo
crazy.
dragons. Yeah,
Remember
we have to go back.
Yeah, we gotta
But
do Asia.
now it's got
Asia's so
that
good.
big hotel or something, doesn't it? Oh, you
What's
went.
that?
You went back. Didn't you go back?
Where? To Komodo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This
Does it have a
this
hotel or something now?
last year.
Yeah,
No hotel on the islands. But also, I had a vastly different experience to our trip that you and I
yeah,
did, whatever that was, 7 years ago. We went to like different islands and like the backside of this island instead of the front side, and it was a
yeah.
very
Okay.
different experience. But I will say that Labuan Bajo is a fucking totally different place. It is
Yeah,
like
right.
way more touristy, way more built
Maybe
up.
that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I've seen photos of a few people that have done trips since
Yeah.
we went, and it looks vastly different.
It's different. It's busier. There's more people around. There's more tourism, and
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
think they're not going to put a hotel on Komodo Island or Rincha, whatever.
Yeah.
They're not.
'Cause there
I
was
don't think
talk of
that'll
it,
happen.
like
But
they were like gonna shut it down for a year or something and then build
yeah,
on
and
it.
then tickets are going to be 500 Australian dollars. But
Yeah.
that that's I think that's
Uh,
just the rumor that's been
Never
around.
happens.
I don't know. Never
Yeah. We
happens.
did well that trip. We got some good stuff.
We did. Do you remember that blue pit viper? We finally found one like 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning,
And
way up
you
in the
climbed
trees.
up a
Yeah,
tree. There was
because
like
the
you
guide
were
said
way up in that tree.
because the guide was like, "Oh, we'll sit and wait for him to come down." Fucking bullshit, brother. It's
it's,
1 o'clock in the
no,
morning. I'm
also,
sorry, I'm not waiting.
it's a pit viper. It's just gonna sit there all night, my guy.
Also,
It's
we
not it's not coming down.
came all the way to see this shit. I'm climbing up this tree, and
Yeah.
then
That was awesome.
got the snake on the hook, and then as you go to pass the hook down, the arboreal pit viper does what it does and climbs back
Comes
up
up
the
the hook.
hook. Spin the hook around and put it back down. Spin it back around, and it was an ordeal.
It was an ordeal,
And
but
it wasn't even
we
trees; it was like thicket.
yeah, it was like vines. It was funky. Yeah, yeah, that was good. And then
Questionable.
we got a Russell's. Is it
Yep.
still Russell's Viper now? Yeah, whatever those are now.
It's the Eastern Russells,
Yeah, okay.
silences.
Yeah, they were cool. That was
Fucking
cool.
so cool. And then we got. Did we get two spitting cobras? Maybe
Yeah,
one. I
two
don't know.
spitting cobras. Yeah, one on Rincha and then one on Komodo or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh man, that
Damn,
was a good trip.
good times. Good times.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh,
Southeast Asia is unbelievable. Like, I just want to keep going back. I
yeah.
think Laurie and I might do a trip, maybe go do like Peninsula Malaysia, fly into like Singapore or something, and then do some
Let us
herping.
know. Let us
I
know.
will. I'll let you know. I want to go
Yeah.
see Wagglers, and Laurie's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
keen. She went to Borneo for that class too, and loved it. So
Oh
we're
man,
pretty
it's
cool
so
to go
good.
back.
Yeah,
She
I'll be
got.
keen.
Oh, you did too, actually. You all got pangolins, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, yeah, and I got elephants too, and no,
Yeah.
not really a good look at a clouded leopard, but enough to be pretty convinced that I saw a clouded leopard. But
Yeah, I mean, I got good looks at clouded leopards. Got some photos
yeah,
of
good
two.
looks at clouded leopards.
No pangolin though. Still
No, the
one
pangolin
day.
was crazy. Pangolin was
Oh
crazy.
man, those things are insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
What
Scotty,
else?
we've well and truly exceeded an hour. I'm
We
happy
have
to
yeah,
wrap things up if you are.
yeah.
Anything
I
else you want
feel.
to talk about?
No, I feel like we covered a lot, but also didn't cover much at all.
Yeah, I
So
know. Could go for days.
we could. I'll once some of these taxonomy papers drop, might have to come back on.
Yeah, I'll have to read them first and take notes before we do those episodes.
I'll have to do the same thing.
Yeah, sweet. All right, so for anyone wanting to see some of your photography or what you're up to, where can they find you?
Instagram's probably the best. It's just, I think, just Scott Macor,
I think it's just Scott McCall, yeah.
MACOR. Yeah, it's
MACOR.
straightforward. I thought about making like a one specifically for photography, and then I was like, nah, too much effort.
Yeah, way too hard.
It is
Yeah.
what it is.
It'd be
Yeah,
what
but
it do.
that's it. Or Flickr if you have Flickr. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Scotty.
Easy.
Appreciate you coming on.
No worries, Joey.
Good chat.
Yeah, I'll
All right.
talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good. All right. As always, everyone, thanks so much for listening. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at joemac.uthl. If you've enjoyed the content, please consider liking, subscribing, and following on. That wraps up episode 20. Thanks, Scott.
See you, Joey.